on Whirlwind and spawning in the bottom left position as the blue Terran player. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have one of the most aggressive professional Terran players in the world. Can he make a dent on his Protoss opponent? It is Fuzer. And he's going to be going up against the green Protoss player in the top left corner, who's giving him just a little bit of banter at the start of this game on Whirlwind. He is, of course, Grubby.
Now, as you guys saw, Grubby is currently in the United States. He is playing at MLG Anaheim. Unfortunately, he's already been knocked out of that, but of course, the admins there are always, compensating for things like this, letting players play for other tournaments, qualifiers, and stuff. So Grubby currently playing from America versus Fuzer. We are on the European server, for those of you interested.
Yep, and that, I guess, will have a small impact on Grubby, but really the quality of the connection he has there should be good enough that it wouldn't be too much of an issue. Of course, the players, just a little bit of banter back and forth at the start of that game there. Fuzer saying how he only 2-axes, but we all know, despite him being famous for it, Fuzer does not, frankly, only go 2-ax. The guy has a decent macro game as well, and we have in the past seen him win some really, really strong late-game macro too. So, I'm looking forward to see what kind of style he wants to bring into the late game here against Grubby, because on a map like Whirlwind, this really leans itself towards that kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, you can... Fuzer, he's a well-rounded player. Like I said, he's known for the 2-racks, but he can play any form of style, and we do see that Grubby is the one doing the early scout this game, going for no Nexus first. Sometimes you see Nexus first, sometimes you see Command Center first in this map, but both players playing more normal. Seeing a Reaper expand here from Fuzer, this isn't one of the best maps for a Reaper expand. There's not too many cliffs to jump up into the main base, but there's no such thing as a bad map for a Reaper. It's always good to open Reaper, get a scout of what your opponent's doing, and just a little bit of harassment.
Yeah, I think especially if you elect to only go for the one Reaper as well, which might be what Fuzer's doing. We'll take a look and see if he has plans to make another one. It's, oh, yep, in fact, the reactor's going straight down. So very important, really, not so much to keep... to keep probes from getting killed and stuff like that. You really just want to be keeping the Reaper alive so that a little later on in the game, you're able to fly back into the main base with the Reaper and perhaps save yourself a scan. If Fuzer went for multiple Reapers out of that barracks initially, then we might expect perhaps a more harassment-intensive style, really, where he tries to get a couple of extra probe kills and doesn't mind if one of the Reapers goes down necessarily. But in this particular case, he wants to keep that alive, see if he can tuck it away behind somewhere where Grubby might not be able to spot it, and then come back into the main base for another go in the near future.
Nexus and Command Center have started for both players. Factory started for Fuzer as well, going to take up really quickly here. Reaper did get one probe kill, as well as scouting the Nexus and seeing a Stalker pops out. Another probe going to go down to this Reaper. Grubby losing all of the probes he has on his mouth. That is really, really annoying for a Protoss player. Want to keep a probe alive so you can scout later on. Also get pylons down eventually. Denied that for the time being. Mothership Core moving on the left-hand side of the map towards Fuzer's base. Going to try and pick off an SCV or two. I really love this type of play here.
It's Grubby looking to try and be aggressive as well as get a bit of scouting information done with his Mothership Core. It's going to be important for him just to see the bunker going down and the presence of that actual expansion. Of course, you can never rule out any sort of huge amount of aggression. Grubby's going to be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief there. If he can happen to get an SCV as well, that would be icing on the cake, but he has to be careful. That Mothership Core is not very fast, and as a result, a couple of Marines do take all the shields off. But good timing from Grubby there, more or less keeping the entirety of the whole damage intact, and meanwhile, Fuzer looking like he's gearing up to do some drops very soon.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be Hellbat drops with this early quick armory. We'll have to see what he wants to load into it. Also could be going mech, like we discussed. Fuzer is a player who has multiple builds at his disposal, but there he goes, moving the factory over to that initial reactor after building a bunch of Marines.
And that was very, very nice scouting there from Fuzer. Just at the last second, Grubby actually managing to get his probes on a complete surround for that Reaper. But by that point, Fuzer had gone through the entirety of the base, seen the robotics facility was down, and that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier on, about how when you build a single Reaper, you want to be able to keep that alive so that you can go in for round 2. And on this occasion there, Fuzer has gone into Grubby's base and he's seen everything he needs to see to prepare for the mid-game.
Medevac just about to finish. First 2 Hellbats dropping out. There are cannons in the middle lines here for Grubby. 1 cannon is helpful, but it's not enough to completely shut down the drop. If you want to 100% prevent Hellbat drops, you need at least 2 cannons in your middle line. The Medevac kill is just a little too much for that to deal with, and of course the splash damage can still roast probes even if there's a cannon there. Now the observer for Grubby did see that Medevac moving across the map. Grubby going to be able to get units into this main base and prepare. He already has a stalker positioned in the middle line and has that mushroom core up there for the photon overcharge. With the cannon as well, I don't know how much damage this first Hellbat drop can do.
Ooh, well, the Medevac just missing that observer there, but he's now going to be boosting into the natural expansion, and he more or less actually dodged a fair amount there, and those sentries getting completely roasted. That was really, really nice there, and both Hellbats actually survived. Is he going to try and drop them again on top of the probes? No, it looks like he's decided not to push his luck. Fuzer wanting to make sure that Medevac can definitely get out safely. Number of workers killed at the moment is 6 for Fuzer against 0 for Grubby in this particular game, but those 2 sentries were a pretty big pickup for our Terran player.
Oh yeah, an extra 300 minerals killing off, or 300 resources put its Fuzer in a really nice position. That's 6 probe kills, not the best, but he's not done dropping. He still has these 2 medevacs out on the field. There's only the 1 cannon here to defend and a few stalkers. So if he does a double drop, 4 Hellbats in the natural mineral line again, there's not too much to defend here. He's going to have to use the photon overcharge to target fire down the medevacs, have that cannon do as much damage as possible. Here comes those medevacs. They're going to speed boost forward. Will it be enough damage?
Oh, and he's actually taking the Stalkers head on here. 4 Hellbats going into the mineral line, and Grubby's actually finding it just a little bit difficult to deal with this at the moment, but he's now bringing down more Stalkers from the main base. That's exactly what he needed to. And once again, Fuzer being very, very good with these drops in that everything is staying alive. The amount of damage he's doing isn't catastrophic for Grubby. We need to keep that in mind here, but it's really, really good that he's escaping with these medevacs, with these Hellbats still intact as well. The kills he's currently getting are basically for free, and Grubby's lost 8 probes so far. He's lost a Stalker, I believe, in that last attack as well. And just generally speaking, Fuzer's doing a pretty solid job here.
He's playing so very patient with his drops. A lot of players would have just been like, okay, these are Hellbats, whatever, they're free units. I'm just going to drop them all, and wow, 8 Hellbats going to be doom dropped into the main base. That's a lot of death right there.
He's doubling up, man. Yeah, he's going for it.
This is going to be an insane amount of damage. Grubby did confirm that there is a 3rd base up for Fuzer. He's doing an excellent job continuously scouting with that observer. Will this observer see these medevacs? It does not look like it's just barely out of vision.
Now, here's what I really want to point out to you guys here. If a Terran player has dropped twice and he ends up killing a few more pros, but he lost a lot of those Hellbats, or he lost a couple of those medevacs, then yes, this isn't going to do very much. But look at this. Fuzer kept them alive, and as a result, instead of what would have been 2 medevacs dropping Hellbats here, he has an army of 8 Hellbats, and that makes such a massive difference, especially once he checks out the 3rd base. Photon Overcharge was used at the natural expansion, and the 3rd base is looking awfully vulnerable right now. Oop!
Oh, going for a drop on top of all these units here. Hellbats healing up as much as they can. Good job from Grubby. Focus firing down these medevacs with the Stalkers. Picks up and going to get out of there with as many as he can. This 1 Hell, these 2 Hellbats, man, they have no way to get out of there. Oh, wow. Nice job baiting away with the medevacs, actually. Fuzer going to get away with everything except for that 1 medevac that fell.
That was really good defense from Grubby, actually. Like, he was in position. I thought Fuzer did a great job of baiting out the Photon Overcharge at the natural and then trying to fly into the 3rd base location. He's now going to go back into the main, but he's actually going to fly more or less over a bunch of Stalkers, and he sees that. I think he has to head home at this point and consolidate. But like you said, Zoya, the main point I really want to drive home here is that he's lost a single medevac. Most of his army is still alive. He's at 152 supply versus the 117 of Grubby right now. The one thing I would say is really going in Grubby's favor, though, is the economy. He got his 3rd base up, more or less didn't lose any probes, and his economy is just strong right now. In fact, I think he's slightly ahead on workers compared to Fuzer. Yes, he is.
Yeah, he hasn't been missing a beat here. This is not only good play from Fuzer, but phenomenal play from Grubby. And we're actually seeing a mech push, really big movement across the map here for Fuzer. 173 supply to 130. Yes, Grubby has been holding on against these little drops, but look how Fuzer just, while he's been doing all this back home, he has not missed a beat. His economy has been going perfectly. He's got the perfect production for what he can afford. This army is huge. SCVs with it to repair. I don't know if Grubby's going to be able to hold this.
It's a pretty scary attack coming in, and a lot of it is down to not losing the medevacs and hellbats initially, because look at this, there are only 6 medevacs, but imagine if 2 of them were gone. Boosting on top of the army and dropping hellbats on top while the rest of the army is moving forward as well. Fantastic use of Time Warp from Grubby there too. I mean, his position can't get too much better than it currently is, but like you said, Zora, there's just so much Terran stuff. Immortals in the front of the army getting roasted right now. A couple of SCs donating themselves to that extended thermal. Lads, no, it's not actually done yet, so Grubby's really in struggle mode right now, and we have siege tanks separating effectively the natural from the third. And if Fuzer can just stay here and constantly harass the third base, Grubby is on this is a ticking bomb, man. He needs to be able to break out of this before the third goes down.
I like the fact that Fuzer kept pushing forward, forcing Grubby back into his natural base so he can harass the third without any problems. Got his contain up, and now he's just sitting here. You actually see the Observer takes that out. Some Stalkers taking some fire here. Grubby going for the move forward. Will it be enough damage, though? Medevacs do have Hellbats loaded up. At the same time, third base is under siege. More medevacs coming forward, but only 2 Colossal left. Grubby down to 107 supply. This contain from Fuzer just seems to be a little too strong. Probes at the third base are finally getting killed off. GG drops Grubby. Fuzer taking game number 1. Phenomenal play. So much patience on his end. I want to point out something that you were saying the entire time about him never losing medevacs.
Yes.
Every single time he saved those units, it just exponentially made his next drop more stronger, and then exponentially made that final push that much